Chapter 12, Leadership Basics. Key concepts for today. What is leadership? Leadership versus management. Trait theories of leadership. The Ohio State and University of Michigan Leadership Studies. Consideration, employee-oriented. Initiating structure, task-oriented. The contingency theory and Fiedler's model. Contrast leadership and management. Leadership is the ability to influence a group towards the achievement of a vision or set of goals. Non-sanctioned leadership is often as important or more important than formal influence. Leaders involve drive, emotional maturity, honesty and integrity, have the motivation to lead, and self-confidence. Not all leaders are managers, nor are all managers leaders. Contrast management and leadership. Managers oversee the current process well. A leader wants to create the future. A manager must achieve balance, while a leader needs to make change. Manager thinks about execution, while a leader thinks about ideas. Managers are comfortable with control, and a leader prefers risks. Managers find problems to be a problem that needs a resolution as soon as possible, whereas a leader might see problems as opportunities, and they're patient. To a manager, they prefer procedure, whereas for a leader, they prefer substance. Managers instruct as to technique and process. A leader might be someone like your best college professor. A manager would be described as impersonal or remote, and a leader would be high emotional intelligence. Strong leadership and strong management are needed for optimal effectiveness. Leaders are needed today to challenge the status quo, create visions of the future, and inspire organizational members to want to achieve the visions. Managers formulate detailed plans, create efficient organizational structures, and oversee day-to-day operations. Leadership decision-making and styles. There are three types of leadership decision-making styles: authoritarian, democratic, and laissez-faire. Research does not identify one style as the best. Effectiveness of the style depends on the circumstances. Kurt Lewin identified these three styles of decision-making in the 1930s. Authoritarian, this is making decisions alone without consulting your employees. Democratic, this involves employees in the decisions. You delegate assignments and ask employees for suggestion, which leads to empowerment. Giving employees authority and responsibility to make decisions about their work without traditional managerial approval and control. And laissez-faire, this leaves most decisions to employees and believes in minimal supervision. Who remembers theory X and theory Y and what they were? There are two assumptions that managers and leaders make about employees, according to psychologist Douglas McGregor. Theory X assumes that employees dislike work and try to avoid it whenever possible, so management must coerce them to do their jobs. Theory Y assumes that the typical person actually likes work and will seek and accept greater responsibility. Trait theories of leadership. These are theories that consider personal qualities and characteristics that differentiate leaders from non-leaders. What does it mean to be a leader? Leader traits. Are great leaders born that way? Leadership research in the pre-1950s found distinctive and inherent characteristics of great leaders to be intelligence, ambition and passion, physical appearance, integrity, desire to lead, and self-confidence. More recent research has found that there's a high energy level and tolerance for stress in leaders. They're self-confident, they have a strong internal locus of control, they have personal integrity, emotional and social intelligence, an ability to learn, dominance, they're self-monitoring, and they're considered an extroversion, conscientiousness, and openness to experience. Conclusion of trait theories. Traits can predict the emergence of a leader. Researchers have consistently found extroversion to be important for leadership outcomes. A breakthrough came when researchers began organizing traits around the Big Five personality framework, or OCEAN. Most of the dozens of traits in various leadership reviews fit under one of the Big Five, giving strong support to traits as predictors of the emergence of a leader. Good leaders like to be around people, they're agreeable, they are able to assert themselves, meaning they're extroverted, they're disciplined and able to keep commitments they make, conscientious, and they are creative and flexible, open. Another trait that may indicate effective leadership is emotional intelligence, of which empathy is at its core. Integrity and self-esteem are also shared leadership traits. Traits can predict leadership. And again, researchers have consistently found extroversion to be important for leadership outcomes. Let's look at some behavioral theories. Behavioral theories, in contrast to trait theories, are where it's the basis for selecting the right people for leadership. Behavioral theories imply we can train people to be leaders. The Ohio State studies on page 193 sought to identify independent dimensions of leader behavior. It started with 1,000 behaviors and narrowed it down to 2: initiating, structure, and consideration. These Ohio State studies were the most comprehensive behavioral theory of leadership. Initiating structure. This is the extent to which a leader is likely to define and structure his or her role and those of subordinates in the search for goal attainment. Consideration. This is the extent to which the leader is likely to have job relationships characterized by mutual trust, respect for subordinates' ideas, and regard for their feelings. The University of Michigan also found 2 similar behaviors that accounted for most leadership behavior. They found an employee-oriented leader emphasized interpersonal relationships by taking a personal interest in the needs of employees and accepting individual differences among them. That means higher employee satisfaction, and it's similar to consideration. Production-oriented leader emphasized the technical or task aspects of the job, focusing on accomplishing the group's tasks. This results in higher productivity, like initiating structure. Employee-oriented leadership is similar to consideration, and production-oriented leadership is similar to initiating structure. In fact, most leadership researchers use these terms synonymously. The contingency theories. Traits and behavior do not guarantee success. They say that context matters too. The Fiedler model. Fred Fiedler developed for the first comprehensive contingency model for leadership. It's a theory that effective groups depend on a proper match between a leader's style of interacting with subordinates and the degree to which the situation gives control and influence to the leader. Excuse me. Step 1. There's a least preferred coworker questionnaire, which you can find in Plato. A key factor in leadership success is the individual's leadership style. The least preferred coworker questionnaire shows this. It determines whether task or relationship-oriented rating on the LPC using 16 adjectives. If you can say the person that you hate working with was still a nice person, you would have a high LPC score. It assumes that the leadership style is fixed. Either change the leader to fit the situation or change the situation to fit the leader. When you describe someone as having a high positive LPC, it means they're good at relationships with other employees. Step 2, this is matching the leader with the situation. We can assess the situations in terms of 3 contingency or situation dimensions. There are leader-member relations. This is the degree of confidence, trust, and respect subordinates have in their leader. Task structure. This is the degree to which job assignments are procedurized. And position power. This is the degree of influence derived from one or formal structural position in the organization. It includes the power to hire, fire, discipline, promote, and give salary increases. Fiedler states the better the leader-member relations, the more highly structured the job, and the stronger the position power, the more control the leader has. Step 3, results. The higher the task structure becomes, the more procedures are added. Let's take a look. As shown in the figure above, Fiedler concluded that task-oriented leaders tend to perform better in situations that were very favorable to them, as well as in situations that were very unfavorable. Relationship-oriented leaders, however, perform better in moderately favorable situations. Situational leadership theory. This is a contingency theory that focuses on followers' readiness. It's the extent to which followers are willing and able to accomplish a specific task. This focuses on the followers. Successful leadership is achieved by selecting the right leadership style, which is contingent on the level of the follower's readiness. A leader should choose one of 4 behaviors depending on follower readiness. If followers are unable and unwilling to do a task, the leader needs to give clear and specific directions. If they are unable but willing, the leader needs to display high task orientation to compensate for followers' lack of ability and high relationship orientation to get them to buy in the leader's desires. If followers are able but unwilling, the leader needs to use a supportive and participative style. If they're both able and willing, the leader doesn't need to do much. So examples of this: if you are unable and unwilling, You might explain how to and try to motivate that with directions and incentive. So for example, you might try to get kids to behave by offering them some kind of incentive. If they're unable but willing, the leader needs to display high task orientation. So let's say that they are willing to work, but they're unable because of their schedule. You might try switching the schedules of work. Oops, sorry. If they're able but unwilling, you need to use a supportive and participative style. So if they're able to do it, but they're not willing to do it, you need to find a way to make them more willing with offering some kind of incentive. And if they're both able and willing, so for example, let's go eat pizza. Usually you don't need to do much to get everyone to go eat pizza. Path goal, I'm sorry, going back to situational leadership theory. This is a contingency theory that focuses on follower readiness, the extent to which followers are willing and able to accomplish a specific task. Please remember that. Path goal theory. This is a theory that is the leader's job to assist followers in attaining their goals and to provide the necessary direction and or support to ensure that their goals are compatible with the overall objectives of the group or organization. The main job of a leader is to make sure all three of Bloom's expectancy theory conditions exist. Effort will lead to high performance will be rewarded, and the rewards they receive have high value to them. When employees have high role ambiguity, they need a directive leadership style. When tasks are boring and repetitive, they might need a supportive leadership style. When the decision is relevant to employees or they have high abilities, it must be participative style. And when employees have high abilities and they have high achievement motivation, it should be achievement oriented for your leadership style. This theory predicts directive leadership yields greater employee satisfaction when tasks are ambiguous or stressful than when they are highly structured and well laid out. Supportive leadership results in high employee performance and satisfaction when employees are performing structured tasks. And directive leadership is likely to be perceived as redundant among employees with high ability or considerable experience. The leader participation model. This leadership theory provides a set of rules to determine the form and amount of participative decision-making in different situations. The way the leader makes decisions is as important as what is decided. Decision-making styles. Decide. Leaders make the decisions alone using available information. Consult as a group. They might obtain additional information from group members. Consult individually. The leader shares the problem with group members individually and makes the final decision alone. Facilitates. The leader shares information about the problem with group members collectively and acts as a facilitator. And delegate. The leader lets the team make the decision. Leader-member exchange theory. This is a theory that supports leaders' creation of in-groups and out-groups. Subordinates with in-group status will likely have higher performance ratings, less turnover, and greater job satisfaction. This theory argues that because of time pressures, leaders establish a special relationship with a small group of their followers. These individuals make up the in-group. They are trusted, they get a disproportionate amount of the leader's attention, and they're more likely to receive special privileges. In high-quality LMX, leaders form a trust-based relationship with the member. They like, help, and respect each other and go beyond the job description in doing so. In low-quality LMX, the leader and member have low levels of trust, liking, and respect toward each other. While they may not actively dislike each other, they do not go beyond the formal job description. This is low levels of loyalty. Charismatic leadership theory. This is a leadership theory that states that followers make attributions of heroic or extraordinary leadership abilities when they observe certain behaviors. Key characteristics of a charismatic leader: their vision and articulation, personal risks, sensitivity to followers' needs, and unconventional behavior. As you can see, some examples of this are Martin Luther King Jr., Mahatma Gandhi, and former President Barack Obama. What is my leadership style? Take a few minutes and take this free quiz to find out what your leadership style is. And the full range of leadership model. This is a model that depicts 7 management styles on a continuum. As you can see, it goes from laissez-faire, management by exception, contingent reward leadership, individualized consideration, intellectual stimulation, inspirational motivation, and idealized influence. The least effective on this model is laissez-faire. And that's it for chapter 12. Thank you.